Hello and welcome back to the With Laura Smith podcast, episode 8. In this episode, you are going to get to know Andrea, hypnotherapist and wellness expert. So please make yourself comfortable, make yourself some drink, and be ready to watch and learn something about hypnotherapy and energy work. Well, thank you, Andrea, for coming to my podcast. I am so happy to have you here. And I'm very excited to share topics about hypnotherapy and your work.
Yes, well, thank you for inviting me. I'm very happy to share it with you today. I am Andrea. I'm a hypnotherapist. I am also a meditation teacher, wellness teacher, Reiki practitioner. I do a lot of other things, but right now I'm focusing very much on hypno and everything that has to do with subconscious work. And I got to learn and practice hypnotherapy after a very strong experience I had in 2018 with very wildly misdiagnosed autoimmune flare-up with ulcerative colitis. By the time I got to the hospital, I was dying. And after the hospital, somebody pointed me in the direction of a doctor that was also a holistic doctor, so an MD that also did holistic practices. And she only treated me with hypnotherapy. And after that, a few months after that, I was able to leave the medication. I never, ever again had a flare-up until today. And at that time, I felt this was such a huge change. And I thought, why is not more people doing this? I need to learn this because it's like so powerful. And this is when I started studying hypnotherapy and all things concerned with subconscious work and subconscious beliefs and everything that makes up our life. And it's more present than we actually give it credit for.
You already shared like a huge story at the beginning. I love it. I wanted to ask you, so 2018 was like your big moment, your pivotal change in your life where you got a disease. But who were you before that? What did you experience to get to that point? Or what were you doing that you end up being like with autoimmune disease and all these things?
Yes. Well, now looking back, I can see the whole situation, what was happening. I used to have my own company that I shared with my ex, and they would put everything and everyone before me. I ended up getting burned out. And even though I had my spiritual practices, even though I've always had like a very fertile inner world, and I got so identified myself so much with my work, with my role in the work, with my role in my relationship, and in all my relationships, that I really ended up putting myself last. And that meant also not taking care of my diet, drinking a little bit too much, and overworking. And sometimes I was so overwhelmed with work that I would just step back and not work at all. So it was like a very, very toxic cycle that I got into. And my body gave up in 2018. I started having these flare-ups. I didn't know what was happening. And basically like Dr. Gabor Maté, he's a Hungarian psychologist, I believe. And he talks about the exact same thing, that women, like of all the autoimmune diseases that exist in the world right now, 80% are experienced by women. And this is partly because our own biology, which is slightly different, but also because of societal norms. As women, we always put others before us, or we identify ourselves with roles, the mother, the boss, the caretaker, and we end up suppressing our emotions, suppressing our needs. And the longer you do that, then your body can literally tell you no more, or explode, or throw a tantrum through usually autoimmune disease. Autoimmune means your body is at war with itself. So your own immune system starts attacking your body. For some people, it could be the thyroid. Some people, it's the skin. In my case, it's my intestines. So learning that was almost like a resounding alarm to help me realize what I've been doing all this year from my early 20s until 38. I was 38 when this happened. And I was really very much concerned with work, with pushing through, moving forward, no matter what. And the result was that my body, which is also our subconscious, was telling me it's enough now. Now you need to take care of yourself.
You mentioned before that you were always kind of spiritual and you weren't noticing that you were putting yourself last during those like age and working so hard and putting everybody in front of you. You weren't there, would you say? Or what was like the spiritual that you were before?
Yeah. So I've always have, well, I'm also a medium. I have to say it just like this. So I had this since I'm a child, like a very young child. I've always seen
Mm.
things, experienced things, dreamed, lots of different modalities of the spirituality, if you want to say it. But there came a time, especially when I was trying to create a path for myself in the world, that the spirituality became not necessarily a bypassing thing to help me bypass my own bad behavior, but more like a soothing thing. As
Mm.
this moment in my life came that I wanted to really become someone, create something, I had the company, I was really invested in it. I just threw myself headfirst into work. The spirituality became a way of pacifying myself, to feel better, to be able to sleep better at night, to have this kind of other window to a world that is so benign and beautiful, that loves you so much and cares so much for you. But at the same time, most of this throwing myself headfirst into work and identifying myself with my role in the company was a deeply subconscious behavior,
Mm-hmm.
that came from childhood, from my early years, my early teenage years, of really not feeling enough or not considering myself enough. Hence, I needed to put myself in that role in a company, the boss, the girlfriend, whatever it is, in order to create that value for myself. But
Mm-hmm.
again, that value was coming from the outside. And so I did abandon myself for many, many years for the sake of that role. And the funny thing with subconscious behaviors is that we cannot see them. We don't realize them, but other people see them for us.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the people that love you the most, and sometimes that could be your friends or your family, they can see it, but they won't mention it to you out of love, out of caring, out of letting you do your own thing. Yeah, there were many, many years that I was so like the horses, like this,
Uh-huh.
that this is where I want to go, and no matter what. And yeah, so spirituality was part of me, yes, but it was what gave me a sense of well-being just when I was right at the edge before breaking, because I wasn't allowing
Mm.
myself a lot of breaks either. So yeah, it was a deeply subconscious behavior to try to be something or become someone, but I was giving my power to my outside circumstances instead of empowering myself and learning about my own worth.
Would you like to maybe share a transition? In 2018, you had the big change, and then you decided that you want to do hypnotherapy and share the spirituality. You came back to yourself when you were a kid, basically. And then you decided that you want to share it with the world. But how was that transition going from like such a driven woman owning a business and then suddenly jumping into spirituality and doing something so different?
Yeah, I think life is very wise. And the fact that I was so physically debilitated, I couldn't do much with my body. I couldn't stress myself too much. I couldn't overwork myself too much. Like I couldn't do many of the things I used to do before, like working out. Even until today, I'm still having a little difficulties with working out as I used to. And I think the fact that I was so physically weak brought all the focus in my inner world, in my
Mm.
mind, in my own behavior, to observe my life more, to observe my relationships, how I moved in the world. Why did I have certain behaviors? And so while I was learning about subconscious, I love to learn things. So while I was studying Hypno, I was also learning about subconscious mind. I was reading a lot of scientific research. I was reading a lot of other books about epigenetics and trauma. And somatics. And that helped me realize many things about my life, many things about myself. And in that process, which was about 6 years, I started my hypnotherapy practice. I started connecting with other people that were completely different to the people I would connect before.
Mhm.
My world suddenly opened up and all the spiritual gifts started to kick in this time in a more authentic way, meaning that if I was going to be called out because of behavior, then I would listen to it. I wouldn't think like, you're starting to overwork yourself again, or you're starting to worry about imaginary things or catastrophizing or whatever. And I would be like, oh yeah, that's true. I'm catastrophizing. Where is this coming from? Where did I learn this? And I was constantly researching in my own behavior, in my own mind, in my own history. So I would then take all this guidance as a learning process. And that slowly took me into the path of having clients, doing more podcasts, sharing more with the world what I would do. And at the time I was living in Portugal because after the illness, we decided to make a change of life and move to Portugal from Barcelona to have a more quiet life. And it was okay at the beginning. And then again, I stopped taking lots of medication. I stopped taking hormonal balance, everything. And perimenopause kicked in, which brought another layer of reality to my
Mhm.
life. And I started realizing many things, like I didn't love what I was doing with the company that I had. I was in a relationship with a covert narcissist that managed to isolate me systematically in the course of a 14-year-old relationship. I was so diluted in a completely different reality that I did not realize that. And thanks to all these things, all these inner movements, all this inner research, all the outside research about how we function and how we work, plus the added hormonal layer, that removing of the veil, the hormonal veil, it became very clear to me that everything that had happened was going to happen again if I didn't really do something for me. And last year I divorced and I left Portugal and I came back to Barcelona. And since last year, I've been rebuilding my life. And this is when I say that if you really dare to open yourself to life, if you really dare to follow what you believe true in yourself, that is your path, life will open up to you. And I have met and became friends with the most amazing people. I have been through so many social gatherings and networkings and communities. And it's truly like all the things that I did not do during the past 15 years is suddenly happening all together at once in this very short period that I've restarted my life in Barcelona. And that includes having clients, that includes having more conferences, talks, and sharing what I do with people. So I am living right now in a big kind of confirmation from life to say you did the right thing. Because if you are always there for others before yourself, when you change that, even if it's over the course of 6 years or whatever time it might take you, you can still gaslight yourself into
Mhm.
thinking, maybe I did not do the right thing because I might have caused some pain. I might have caused some chaos. But you know what? You can make eggs without breaking them. So my life right now is one big delicious omelette. I've broken quite a few eggs and I'm very happy about that.
Well, congratulations. I'm glad you found your peace and your space and place. But let me ask you two things. How somebody believes that that is possible or believes that this is what I'm meant to do. Like obviously you came
Mhm.
from business and you never thought maybe that this is what I'm going to do, or the transition happens like how I believe that this is really for me and this is not just a passion, but this is something that I'm meant to do.
Yes, I think it came with a lot of soul searching, all this looking inward and actually living an experience in my own body, in my own life, an experience that took me to a breaking point and then to start rebuilding myself. And in that rebuilding was kind of like a Tetris that had to rearrange itself completely. I think in a way, it has to do with your own personal experience. In my case, I experienced a childhood with a narcissist mom, which is curious that I ended up with, or not coincidence really, that I ended up with a covert narcissist later in life. And so that experience and that kind of duality of having the narcissistic experience, which is very much dimming your light, and a very profound spiritual connection, which is very much about expressing yourself and moving yourself through life in a very authentic way. That duality and all the breaking points in between help me observe myself and observe my life. And first of all, saying what I have experienced, I know something that can help people as much as it helped myself, because I don't want anyone to suffer the same. I don't want anyone to go through this situation, or if they had, I would love to be able to help them come back to themselves, because narcissism is about picking you apart. And coming back to yourself and bringing all the pieces together into yourself is not easy if you do it on your own. And it's subconscious behavior, so we can't really see it. We cannot put our finger on it. And I thought, if something so wonderful as this tool exists, I really want to do this for the world. And if you ask anyone, there are probably only very few people that have become rich by practicing hypnotherapy or doing hypnotherapy related businesses or hypnosis businesses. So I think you can tell when something comes out of your heart, your passion, your identity, who you can recognize yourself being, and what you really want to do in the world, as something that you cannot live without doing it, because you cannot leave the world without that imprint, or having a genius idea that is a great business, that is more ego-based, that it has a benefit for others, but mostly for yourself. So I think there is these two scales. One, that you feel it very deep in your heart, that you really want to create a change in the world. And if money comes in a very massive way, it's just a byproduct of it, as opposed to, I think hypnotherapy could be a great thing. Let's build a business around it, and let's help people. And on the way, we're going to make all these deals, and which I have been there through a startup that I was part of a few years back. And you can tell the difference when it's something that is more like really, really, you feel it in your body, in your soul, in your heart, or something that, yeah, you can feel it there too, but it's more in your mind and it's more ego driven, more business like, instead of, I want to make a change in humanity, or, it's big words, but that's how it feels.
It's more about you than the other people. So I
Exactly.
understand. But didn't you experience ever the feeling of like you choose to go on this path, you loved it and you wanted to share and you wanted to help? Was it always for you that people just followed, or did you have a moment where nobody was interested, or like there wasn't enough people and then you were doubting yourself, like, is this, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I say hypnosis or hypnotherapy, the first reaction of the people is like, oh, so scared. Oh, so scary. No, I don't want to lose control. This is, oh no, you control people and all this kind of stuff. So obviously, as per usual, I picked something very out of the mainstream, something that I wanted to do. And it was a period, a very long period of trying to find the words to express how this works and what did I do, and how were the effects on the people, and that it was not about control. And, so in my case, I didn't pick to become something mainstream. I am not a breathwork practitioner. I am not a Wim Hof practitioner. That all these things are tangible, but not tangible, but people still get it more than when you say hypnosis or hypnotherapy. So I am so convinced that this is a life-changing tool or a life-changing modality that is so compassionate, that I have spent all these years until now, which I feel is kind of a culmination of all the efforts to be able to explain what I do, to explain what hypno is, and to explain how subconscious works and how important it is and how it drives all of our behaviors. So I obviously had my times where I was super shaky, that I was like, maybe people are not going to get it, or maybe people will come to me expecting one thing and I will deliver another, all these kind of things. And even recently, when I just arrived in Barcelona, like, should I find a job? Maybe I should get a job. Maybe this is not going to work. Maybe I'm going to have like, oh, not enough sessions or whatever. And so then it's the inner saboteur. The inner saboteur is always there. Our brain is designed to help us survive, not to make us happy. So it's always going to be criticizing, putting this negative shift over everything you do. But the key is to understand when you are catastrophizing, and to help your logical brain to see the logical path as well. So if you're really putting the effort, if you're really going for it, if you're being articulate about what you do and you're sharing it with people and you're sharing it in the right circles with the right people, you will make many mistakes, but that's how we learn. You might throw your seats in a group of people that really don't care about it. And that's fine. You have learned that those are not your people, but it's only natural that forever until the day we die, we will have doubts. We will never be 100%, 100% all the time focused in this is it and I will succeed, because it's not true. If anybody tells you that, they're lying, because there will be moments when they're taking a shower and they're going to be like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work. So I've had my shaky moments, and because of the transition that I've had in my life, it was either sink or swim. And I have decided to swim. And one of the best ways to swim and to float is to relax your body and let go. You do your effort, you paddle. That's how you move forward. But at the same time, you have to deeply trust that you won't sink. So it has been a process of wrestling with my own mind, but also learning to dialogue with it in a way that I can tell her to shut up when it's not being helpful.
I like that. That's very helpful. And since you already master after all these years the words of describing hypnotherapy, I wanted to ask you, but first, when we're gonna go there, I want to ask you first, what are the biggest misconceptions of hypnotherapy?
Well, the biggest one is that you will lose control. That's the biggest one, because people see the shows or the movies that people go to the stage and they start screaming like a chicken or all sorts of things. But then again, if you think about it, if our subconscious mind can allow you to believe that you can sing like a chicken, or that you can speak Chinese if it's not your mother language or you don't know the language, imagine how powerful it is to help you change beliefs about yourself, or things or programs that you have been running that are running your life in a way that is not conducive, that doesn't serve you anymore. So what happens during hypnotherapy is not control, is teamwork. If you say to me, I don't want to be hypnotized, you will not be hypnotized. You have made a decision and I cannot change that. I cannot force you to be hypnotized. Once you decide to come for a hypnosis session, you have given me your yes, that you are willing to do it. So we can work together. It's teamwork. It's deeply
May I
teamwork.
ask you, does people come, maybe they are not sure, like they give you yes, but just because they're curious, but they feel like subconsciously they don't want to be hypnotized, but they are curious?
Yeah, this is why I mostly do like a discovery call before. And I have a fill out form so they can tell me what is it that they're coming for. And so we can discuss more. What is it, what they're really expecting to get out of the session? Because if they come just by curiosity, it might be money that they will lose, because they might have an expectation that is completely different to what I'm actually delivering. I've had people asking me the darnest things if I could do really crazy stuff for them with Hypno. And I'm like, no, I use it as a therapeutic tool.
Give us
So
example, please give us example. The
this one
darkest things.
person, there was this one person that said, I want you to hypnotize me to erase my mind and become a dumb Barbie doll.
Okay.
And I was like, excuse me. And this person said, yes, I want to go through life being happy, just being like a dumb blonde Barbie girl. I don't want to know anything about the world. And I want you to do that. And I want you to erase my mind. And I'm like, okay, but I cannot do that. Even if I could do
Wow.
it would only work for a little bit.
Interesting.
Yes.
Now you blew my mind. People are such a gift.
Very creative, very creative.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so control was one of the things. They think they will lose control. What is like another big thing that people think that may happen during the session?
That they will fundamentally change their personality, that they will
Mm.
become someone completely different, that there will be bits and pieces in their life that will be completely alien to them. So the misconception, I would say, is that I will implant programs or memories or programs in them that will make them behave completely different, hence becoming the stupid blonde Barbie doll going through life completely bubble-headed. So yeah, that's another very big misconception that goes probably tied with the control part, that they will become someone else or that they can completely be erased. Then another one is that they will get stuck in hypno, that they might not come back out from trance. That's another fear people have. Hypnosis the hypnosis state, the trance state, we experience it every day while we are awake and when we are sleeping. While we are awake, we experience trance-like states when we do the doom scrolling or when we are driving and we know when the place where we started driving and how we got to where we wanted to get in the end, but we don't remember the streets. We don't remember every single red light. We don't remember every single car because that's our subconscious moving us through that program or through that idea, no? Or trance state when you're reading a book and you're really absorbed and suddenly you cannot hear anything, any noise, nothing that's going around you. And most importantly, when we go to sleep, our brain waves slow down. And as they slow down, we go from high, very focused, alert types of brain waves to slower and slower and slower brain waves. And when we are in that space that we are awake, but we are asleep, sometimes maybe even your conscious mind is still thinking about the day, but you already started kind of dreaming. That is a hypnotic state. That is when your brain is into theta. Theta brain waves are hypnosis. So we all experience that in our waking and in our sleeping times. And even more, during the last 3 months of the pregnancy of our mom until when we were 7 years old, our brains were only functioning in theta brainwaves, which means everything that you experience did not get stored as a suggestion or as an advice or an information. It got stored as a program. And this is really heavy because everything that happened to you in your childhood, I don't know, the case of a woman that had problems with food, a bad relationship with food. Only once when she was a little child, she was dressed up like a princess. She goes to her dad and her dad says, "You look chubby." If we were to have the same kind of character that we have as an adult, we would say, that's a very mean thing to say. I know I'm not chubby and I am a child. Why would you say that? But as a child, that's a command and that gets stored as a program. So no matter what you do, you will always consider yourself chubby. No matter how gorgeously dressed up you are, you will always consider there's something there that is not right. And we might remember or not remember that comment. And because it's a program, it becomes part of who we are. So when people are afraid that hypno will change their personality, I would say it will simply take away that shift of programming that no longer serves you to elicit your true self, your true power, your true being, that person that is wise, that has energy, that is self-assured. And so it's not about changing personalities, it's about becoming more who you are, not to represent yourself with a personality that helped you survive at some point, but that right now is not conducive of your growth or your well-being.
It's very interesting how one comment, simple comment, can totally shift your whole energy to a whole different direction, that you become
Yeah.
somebody whole different. Yes, but what about, okay, so you saying, because on your Instagram profile, you describe like you helping people to build a better future or the best possible future.
Mhm.
So there are different types of hypnotherapy. Okay, so you can create the future, but you also can go in the past to heal the past.
Yeah.
Is there something more you can do?
So Hypno works in the present. The approach is we don't need to remember what happened in order to heal it. So the type of hypno that I do is very compassionate in that sense that from the present, whatever it is that you want to work on, I don't need to take you to the past to relive or to find the trauma, to find the exact point where you had this horrible thing happening to you. That I don't do. Whatever you want to work on, we work on it from the present towards the future. And then other two things I do is regressions. And the type of regression that I do is kind of like going to find the why what is happening to you is happening to you, but it's in a very detached way. So, for example, people that always repeat the same dynamics in their relationships, we can go to the past and observe where is this coming from. And by observing, I mean really observing. We can create imagery that you're looking at a screen, for example, and information comes through there. And our subconscious is so beautiful that doesn't necessarily has to show you exactly what happened as it happened, but it kind of creates false memories to create a story just to help you understand the dynamics of it. So you might see a story that makes sense to you, and that's all that matters, because that's when you can create the change. So that's the type of regression that I do. And then I also do something called future visioning or future life progression, which I do a lot with communities, and it's very, very, very beautiful modality. It's like a guided meditation with visualization and touches of hypno in it. So what it does is it takes you to a very relaxed state, and then I guide you into your best possible future. So you can connect with the Laura that is living her best possible future. And through guidance, you can get to ask yourself, how did you do it? How did you get there? How did you create this life? How did you heal yourself? How did you manifest this absolutely wonderful future? And you have a conversation with that self of your best possible future. And then I help you connect with that energy and to anchor it in your physical body. And I very much help you feel how it feels to be that Laura that's living her best possible future. Because when we have the feeling in our body, our brain creates all the hormones, all the molecules, everything, all the chemicals we need to feel that in our body. And when we feel it in our body, it becomes real. Our brain registers it as this is real. So when you go through that experience and you come back out of that experience, when you emerge from that experience with that feeling in your body, you already have changed your present. You've already have become more aligned to a deep desire of building that best possible future for you. And sometimes people expect that vision of the future to come true. But the funny thing is that most of the times when people connect with their best possible future self, the messages that they get is not like a GPS, in 100 meters, turn right, you're going to find a red door, walk through it. You're going to meet Jose, talk to him, ask him this question. No, it's more like, I don't know, from this silliest thing, drink more water, change the way you dress, and you know exactly the way you should dress, or be more unapologetically yourself. And although these words might not mean a lot to other people, they mean a lot to you because you know exactly what you mean when you're saying yourself these words. And so after you emerge from the experience, we go through a journaling process with some prompts that help you take that information and put it into paper. And again, we're doubling down in bringing this down to reality. And you don't have to show me anything you write. You don't have to read it to me. This is between you and the paper. And this creates a very personal kind of roadmap as to what to do already the next day in order to start creating that future. So This helps a lot of people who are stuck in a situation that they don't see a way out. Because suddenly connecting with a version of themselves that already knows how to get out of that situation, that's already rebuilt their lives and created a future that is even better than they could imagine at the moment, it's like with a snap of a finger, you can change your inner reality and you can start creating an outside reality that matches more that desire of a better life on the inside.
What would you say if, let's say, I have a session and I connect with that great life, the vision that I desire, but then something changes in the physical world. Like, let's
Mhm.
say I will be taken by a different direction, or like, and then suddenly that vision that I connected to is no longer important, or is I no longer feel connected to that vision.
The thing is, don't put so much. I say we because when I do it with groups, I do it with an associate, with a friend. But also when I do it one on one, the attention is not put so much in the imagery, in what's
Mm-hmm.
happening. Oh, I'm in this big office and in this big building, or I'm in this beautiful house living off grid. We put more focus in who is the person that created that future.
Mm.
What is that person feeling, experiencing, thinking, how they see the world, how they experience, how they move about in the world, how they think. And so in the same process of future visioning, you connect really with that version of yourself that feels differently, thinks differently, processes the world differently, move differently about the world. So your circumstances can change, but that personality, that energy, you already got in touch with it. Okay, I already feel how it feels to be the best version of myself, the one that can take over the world, or in my own terms, of course. And okay, then I don't have this job anymore. I don't have this startup anymore. I don't have this desire to have this business anymore. I want to go live off grid. You can still do it because that person inside you that has all this power can do whatever she wants with her life. She's going to create the best possible future regardless.
And what about even, I feel like I'm challenging you. What about what about the feelings? For example, I'm gonna share my own experience. Sometimes it's hard for me to connect. It was at the beginning of my spiritual journey. It was very
Mhm.
hard for me to connect with my feelings because
Oh.
I used to grow up being so closed up. I didn't know what I'm actually
Mhm.
experiencing, didn't know what I'm feeling. So for people like me that have
Mhm.
struggled to connect, like when I say be confident, well, I don't know how it feels like because I've never been
Mhm.
confident, or be proud of what you achieve. Well, I don't know how pride
Mhm.
feels actually. So there is like feelings like how do I know that the feeling I'm connected to is actually the feeling? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Usually the people that have trouble connecting with their feeling and they do the future visioning, the way they connect with feeling is through very calm, very peaceful, very
Mm.
baseline type of emotions. So it's not ecstatic. It's not overpowering. It's very like content. And the messages they receive are also along those lines, very compassionate, very aligned with the capacity they have to deal with emotions. So when they come back from the experience, they are more self-assured. And by feeling self-assured, you can slowly allow yourself to enter into that field of emotions and feelings and start to allow yourself to feel, because you are
Mm.
allowing yourself to feel from a place of self-assurance. You feel safe in your emotional world. You feel safe in your body. So you can allow yourself to experiment deeper feelings or more challenging feelings in your own terms from that point of safety, calmness, peace, content. So it's an experience that your own subconscious designs for you. I give you the guidance. I am a facilitator after all. So I'm
Mhm.
facilitating an experience, and your subconscious is going to equalize it to what you are ready to experience at that point in time. And that could be the kickstart of a greater process over time. And maybe in 2 years or in a year, when you do another future visioning, you're going to feel different things. You're going to experiment different things because you will have evolved in your own inner world.
So, what is the difference between, let's say, the hypnotherapy and the meditation or manifesting meditation?
Yeah. So, meditation, you're still in your conscious. Your conscious mind is still present. You don't get to those deeper layers of relaxation. So, let's say that your mind is a web browser. When we are in our waking day, we have 20 tabs open all at the same time, and we're moving from window to window with all these tabs open. Meditation closes some of those tabs in order to be able to focus. So meditation, you can focus on a flower, on an object. There are different types of meditations. You can sing a mantra. You can focus on a mantra. You can focus in a song. You can focus in the feeling. You can focus in an intention. But you're still consciously living that experience with a relaxed body. Hypno or hypnosis or hypnotherapy, you close all the browser tabs and leave just the one open. And that one tab that is open is your subconscious tab. So your conscious mind is busy with other things, but your subconscious mind is emerging. Why? Because your body is deeply relaxed. Your conscious mind is being taken care of through different processes to get out of the way. And it's a moment where it's almost like about when you're about to fall asleep. So you can feel like you are sleeping, but you're not. You're conscious, but you're not. It's a very, very different experience. You could not be in a lotus pose, for example, if you were in trance. It would be difficult, or you would be very, very, very deep in trance, so much so that your body would be completely stiff, which is not good for you either. So that's basically the difference. Meditation, you can still imagine, visualize, you're still conscious in your conscious mind. But hypno, you are deeper. You are like in a state of daydreaming.
Did it happen to you that somebody actually fell asleep during the hypno?
Yeah.
Is it a good
Snoring.
thing? Is it a good thing this the process still happen or it doesn't happen?
There are different schools of thought. Some say that while you're asleep, your subconscious is still listening. And I do believe that when you're sleeping, your subconscious still listen. But there are also other schools that said there's no therapeutic use for someone who is sleeping. So I think as a practitioner, you have to know what you're dealing with. If there is like very deep work that I'm doing with someone, I would probably gauge the trance state or the depth of the trance state in a way that is useful for me and for the person so we can really work well. But there are sometimes that, I don't know, clients that keep coming back because they enjoy it, because they want to work on different things, because it helps them, that even if they fall asleep, I can continue to, let's say, talk them through the hypnotic change work. And it's fine and it works regardless.
Let me ask you, how often you should have a hypnotherapist, let's say if hypnotherapy, if you want to have a big life change and you want to accomplish something, and how long does it take to have like one session?
So I say, for example, if the people I work with that have insomnia, that have anxiety, that have addictions, that have autoimmunes, that have burnout, I like to work in packets of 3. So I do 3 sessions every week, 3 weeks, 3 sessions. And that's usually enough for a long while. And then it's up to the person. So I always say to the people, you know better than me what's best for you and how often you should come to the sessions, because subconscious is very wise. Subconscious is 95% of our mind. Our conscious mind is only 5%, and we're fighting with this 5% the whole time to create change. So why not use those superpowers that you have, that 95% of your mind, to create change? So usually when it's something intensive, I do 3 sessions and that's enough. And then you decide when you want to come back. Other people, for example, I had a lady that had trouble sleeping. She only came for 1 session because I saw that 1 session would be enough. And then I said to her, anytime you want to come back, you come back. I'm going to be here. And she comes back, I don't know, once a month. I don't know, once a month, every 2 months, sometimes twice a month, every time she wants. Usually one session is about 45 minutes to an hour, counting the time that we talk at the beginning and at the end. And a session is comprised of different phases. So the first phase is the relaxation phase. Then there is a deepener. So you go deeper into that relaxation. And then comes what's called the change work. This is when the hypnotherapy in itself happens, when there is a dialogue with your subconscious, and your subconscious is telling me what is willing to change or not, or how far into that change is willing to go or not. And then there is the emerging. So it's basically relaxation, change work, and the coming out of trance. And then after that, we talk a little bit. You share how you felt. I share what I saw. And that's pretty much a session.
It's so interesting. I was actually very surprised you said 45 minutes to 1 hour, because I've seen sessions they were lasting like for 4 hours. And I was
Yes.
wondering to myself, like, who stay in trance for 4 hours?
Yes. I mean, there are different types of modalities, right? Usually these regressions, like quantum regressions and that, they don't really have a therapeutic use, but they are usually that long because they take a very long time in taking the person into a trance state. They take a very long time into keeping the person in that kind of daydream state that they can talk and say what they see and what they experience. And then the emerging also is a different type of emerging. By emerging, I mean getting out of that state and coming back into full waking consciousness. So yeah, there are different modalities, but when it's about a therapeutic use, it could be as short as 20 minutes. But the work it's so powerful that you could have a session of 20 minutes and that could be enough to change your life.
So what do you think, or what people can change in their lives? You said addiction, insomnia, other
Mhm.
things. Is there something else, like, or is it everything you can change with hypnotherapy?
I would say everything, but that would not be correct because, for example, if you are stuttering, I could help you with the stuttering if it is caused from a nervous kind of shock that you might have had in the past, something that have happened to you that caused you to stutter and makes it get worse when you're nervous or when you are in a social group or you need to share something in front of people that you don't know. I could help you tone it down and maybe even get rid of it. But if your stuttering is a neurological problem in your brain, in your nervous system, I can still help you to tone down the reaction or the answer that your nervous system gives every time that you are going to talk in front of other people. Even if you have a neurological problem, it could help tone down the stuttering, but it won't heal your brain. It won't heal your nervous system. You have to go to a speech therapist. That's the difference. If you have autoimmune, I won't cure the autoimmune, but I will help you. So when you have a reaction, that reaction won't be overpowering so much so that it will take you to get a flare up. So it will tone down the reaction or the answer that your immune system will have when you are presented with a very stressful situation. So change can happen in, let's say, everyday things or also at a more fundamental level. For example, when I was talking about personality, some people have identified themselves with a certain way of being, and then they realize that it's actually not serving them, not helping them. It's keeping them in a constant state of survival. So we can work with that to have your subconscious get rid of those programs or ways of living that no longer serve you, to bring about a version of yourself or a superpower or something that lives within yourself, a certain wisdom that will help you move through life in a more conducive way for your well-being. And by well-being, I mean everything: physical health, emotional health, mental health, and also the health of the relationships that you hold, not only with romantic relationships, but also with friends and family.
So what would be the most common thing people come to therapy? what they want to change in their life?
Well, right now I'm getting lots of people that are burnout, lots of people that are dealing
Mm.
with sleeping problems and chronic stress, anxiety. That's basically the most common thing, I would say. And yeah, people that are going through changes in their life that are triggering certain aspects of themselves that they don't recognize, like anger or deep sadness, and they don't know where it's coming from. These kind of things can be worked out with hypnotherapy.
Would you like to share a story towards the end, like one of your favorite story? It can be personal or it can be a client story that you helped or they changed their life.
Well, the nice thing about Hypno is that sometimes the people that go through the Hypno are the last ones to notice the changes. So I've had this client that he was very, 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 very nervous. Like he would have this twitching and this compulsiveness of behavior. I think it was after the first or the second session, I noticed already how much he had changed in his nervousness. He was very calm and collected and very relaxed and, solid. And he came to me and he said, yeah, the other day I was with my friend and I was talking to him and telling him that I don't know if this is working, And he said that his friend said to him, but man, you're like a different person. You're so much more relaxed. You're so much more calm, because these were friends for many, many, many years in the past. And he said, you were like when you were very young, like that kind of quiet. And he was like, really? And then he started observing himself and realizing that he actually has been changing, and he was so happy, like a child. So that was super fun for me. And then I had another experience with a lady. She is a yoga teacher. She's really, really, really good, very good at what she does. And she has been dealing with this pain around her period that was truly debilitating, but she didn't have endometriosis. She didn't have any, let's say, medical condition that had been found out to cause this. And she has gone through several other therapists, like physio, anything else, like acupuncture, whatever you name it. And then she tried Hypno, because this is what usually happens when somebody comes to have Hypno, is probably because they've tried everything else and that's like their last resort. And we had only one session to dial down the pain through subconscious work. And the next month after we did the session, the pain was gone, and it has been gone since. So it's really curious how our subconscious behaviors can drive something so real like pain. And to me, that's mind boggling. I mean, I'm still very surprised at how everybody's subconscious creates the best possible medicine and solutions for people. To me, it's incredible. Like the amount of power we have and we hold in our subconscious is just incredible.
It is. And we're still discovering it. That is a beautiful thing. We don't know anything about it. Like we know something, but it's not even what we think we know, you know?
Yes.
It's so
Yeah,
much
yeah.
more. It's just so much more than we know, I feel like. So if you can invite some people, like you said, you are in Barcelona, of course,
Yes.
but like how people can work with you or where they can find
Mm-hmm.
you.
People can go to andreahypno.com. Andrea is my name. Hypno with Y as hypnosis all together. All the information is there. Even my Instagram, all my socials are there. So you can go to my website, and anything you want to know, you can get through there. You can even book a discovery call through there and make me all the questions that you want to make me. I'm very happy to answer any questions. So basically everything is centralized there. andreahypno.com.
And you said, are you doing some workshops in Barcelona, like presential or yes?
Yes,
Everything is there.
yeah, everything is there. And right now, most of the presential workshops that we're doing it exclusive to communities. So eventually we will open up the same type of workshops, but for the general people. And eventually, most likely towards fall this year, we will also host what we call timeline retreat, which is taking people to the past to experience why are they behaving or acting or experiencing certain things, We will do the healing in the present, and then we will take them to the future to connect with that best possible person after doing all the subconscious work. So it's going to be a very comprehensive, very life-changing retreat that we will be hosting. And all the information is going to be also posted all over my website and all over my socials.
Do you have anything else like in plan for the future for yourself, or just Hypno? And you said you keep studying, you keep learning about subconscious. And do you think you may add up something in the future, something else to hypnotherapy, or is just going to be Hypno and subconscious work?
Eventually, I mean, I always say I know that this begins with Hypno, but I don't know where it ends. So I'm very open to take Hypno with me and add other things and create new modalities. But eventually next year, I will be combining Hypno with neuroscience, with somatic breath work, because I believe that if we want to work with our subconscious, we also need to work with our body. And we can work with our body, but we need to have a certain context to it. So I believe that putting these three things together can actually create the perfect context for people to work with themselves in a very life-changing way with tools that they can take with themselves for the rest of their lives, working with the body, with the subconscious and the conscious mind. I think that is the full package.
So that retreat, the timeline retreat, sounds fantastic. So is it going to be like a weekend, or it's going to be just like one day?
Most likely 3 days.
3 days. Okay, perfect. We're going to find all the information on your website. I'm going to link everything in the description so you can, anybody who's watching can go and have a look at the projects Andrea is making. And I think, how would you encourage people to try hypnotherapy?
If there is anything happening to you that you can just put your finger on it, if there's anything you want to change in your life and you have tried so much so, and you feel like you are battling against invisible windstorms, try hypnotherapy. Find what is it that you would like to change in your life, even if it's a belief that you realize that it's not yours, that it has been adapted or adopted through your childhood, your life experience that is not being conducive to the life you want to live. Try Hypno. The worst thing that could happen is that nothing happens.
That's such a safe line. I really like that. Thank you so much for today, for your wisdom and for your introduction to hypnotherapy. I think it was very interesting, and you master your speech over the years. You explain perfectly how it is, how it works to people who has no idea what it is. So I don't feel it sounds any like scary or anything like that. So congratulations. You master it. It sounds great. So thank you so much again for being here today.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It was really great.
Thank you. So how was it? I hope you enjoyed the talk and you get to know Andrea as much as I did, and you had fun listening our conversation, and you learned something about the hypnotherapy and the work she does. If you like this episode, please subscribe and comment what you like the most about our conversation. And if you learned something new, and if you're hoping in the future to get session for yourself. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you later.